A doughnut or doughnut is a type of fried dough confectionery or dessert food. The doughnut is popular in many countries and prepared in various forms as a sweet snack that can be homemade or purchased in bakeries, supermarkets, food stalls, and franchised specialty outlets. They are usually deep-fried from a flour dough, and typically either ring-shaped or without a hole and often filled. Other types of batters can also be used, and various toppings and flavorings are used for different types, such as sugar, chocolate, or maple glazing. In addition to flour, doughnuts may also include such ingredients as water, leavening, eggs, milk, sugar, oil shortening, natural flavors and/or artificial flavors. The two most common types are the toroidal ring doughnut and the filled ʻdoʊnʌt, which is injected with fruit preserves, cream, custard, or other sweet fillings. A small spherical piece of dough may be cooked as a doughnut whole. Other shapes include rings, balls, and flattened spheres, as well as ear shapes, twists and other forms. Doughnut varieties are also divided into cake and resin-type doughnuts. Shapes: rings. Ring doughnuts are formed by joining the ends of a long, skinny piece of dough into a ring or by using a doughnut cutter, which simultaneously cuts the outside and inside shape, leaving a doughnut-shaped piece of dough and a doughnut hole from dough removed from the center. This smaller piece of dough can be cooked or added back to the batch to make more doughnuts. A disc-shaped doughnut can also be stretched and pinched into a torus until the center breaks to form a hole. Alternatively, a doughnut depositor can be used to place a circle of liquid dough directly into the fryer. There are two types of ring doughnuts, those made from a yeast-based dough for raised doughnuts or made from a special type of cake batter. Yeast-raised doughnuts contain about 25% oil by weight, whereas cake doughnuts' oil content is around 20%, but they have extra fat included in the batter before frying. Cake doughnuts are fried for about 90 seconds at approximately 190 degrees Celsius to 198 degrees Celsius, turning once. Yeast-raised doughnuts absorb more oil because they take longer to fry, about 150 seconds, at 182 degrees Celsius to 190 degrees Celsius. Cake doughnuts typically weigh between 24 g and 28 g, whereas yeast-raised doughnuts average 38 g and are generally larger, and taller when finished. Topping: after frying, ring doughnuts are often topped. Raised doughnuts are generally covered with a glaze. Cake doughnuts can also be glazed, or powdered with confectioner's sugar, or covered with cinnamon and granulated sugar. They are also often topped with cake frosting and sometimes sprinkled with coconut, chopped peanuts, or sprinkles. Holes. Doughnut holes are small spheres that are made from the dough taken from the center of ring doughnuts or made to look as if they are. Doughnut sellers saw the opportunity to market holes as a novelty, as if they were the portions cut out to make the ring. Similar to standard doughnuts, doughnut holes may be topped with confections, such as glaze or powdered sugar. Traditionally, doughnut holes are made by frying the dough removed from the center portion of the doughnut. Consequently, they are considerably smaller than a standard doughnut and tend to be spherical. Originally, most varieties of doughnut holes were derivatives of their ring doughnut counterparts. Bite-sized confectionery similar to doughnut holes and often referred to as such are not made by cutting out the central portion of a ring doughnut, but instead by dropping a small ball of dough into hot oil from a specially shaped nozzle or specially shaped cutter. This production method has allowed doughnut sellers to produce bite-sized versions of non-ring doughnuts, such as filled doughnuts, fritters and duchies. Timbits are not doughnut holes and are made with their own cutter and are larger than the ringed doughnut hole and may be irregularly shaped. Both bite-sized doughnuts are referred to by brand names of the offering chains, such as Munchkins from Dunkin' Donuts and Timbits from Tim Hortons. Filled. The filled doughnut is a flattened sphere injected with fruit preserves, cream, custard, or other sweet fillings, and often dipped into powdered sugar or topped off with frosting. Common varieties include the Boston cream, coconut, and jelly. Other shapes: others include the fritter and the duchy, which are usually glazed. These have been available on Tim Hortons' donut menu since the chain's inception in 1964, and a 1991 Toronto Star report found out that these two were the chain's most popular type of fried dough in Canada. There are many other specialized doughnut shapes such as old-fashioned, bars or long johns, or with the dough twisted around itself before cooking. In the Northeast U.S., bars and twists are usually referred to as crullers. Another is the ʻdoʊnʌt, which is square-shaped, covered with powdered sugar. History in the U.S., possible origins. Doughnuts have a disputed history. One theory suggests they were invented in North America by Dutch settlers. Indeed, in the 19th century, doughnuts were sometimes referred to as one kind of oliekoek, a sweetened cake fried in fat. Hanson Gregory, an American, claimed to have invented the ring-shaped doughnut in 1847 aboard a lime trading ship when he was only 16 years old. Gregory was dissatisfied with the greasiness of doughnuts twisted into various shapes and with the raw center of regular doughnuts. He claimed to have punched a hole in the center of dough with the ship's tin pepper box, and later taught the technique to his mother. According to anthropologist Paula Mullins, the first cookbook mentioning doughnuts was an 1803 English volume which included doughnuts in an appendix of American recipes. By the mid-19th century, the doughnut looked and tasted like today our unregistered trademark ʻdoʊnʌt, and was viewed as a thoroughly American food. Etymology, doughnut. The earliest known recorded usage of the term dates to an 1808 short story describing a spread of fire cakes and doughnuts. Washington Irving's reference to doughnuts in 1809 in his History of New York is more commonly cited as the first written recording of the term. Irving described balls of sweetened dough, fried in hog's fat, and called doughnuts, or olakoeks. These nuts of fried dough might now be called doughnut holes. Doughnut is the more traditional spelling, and still dominates outside the U.S. At present, doughnut and the shortened form doughnut are both pervasive in American English. Doughnut, the first known printed use of doughnut was in Peck's Bad Boy and His Pa by George W. Peck, published in 1900, in which a character is quoted as saying, "Pa said he guessed he hadn't got much appetite, and he would just drink a cup of coffee and eat a doughnut." According to John T. Edge, the alternative spelling ʻdoʊnʌt was invented when the New York euro-based Display Doughnut Machine Corporation abbreviated the word to make it more pronounceable by the foreigners they hoped would buy their automated doughnut-making equipment. The doughnut spelling also showed up in a Los Angeles Times article dated August 10, 1929 in which Bailey Millard jokingly complains about the decline of spelling, and that he can't swallow the well-done doughnut nor the ever-so-good bread. The interchangeability of the two spellings can be found in a series of National Doughnut Week articles in the New York Times that covered the 1939 World's Fair. In 4 articles beginning October 9, 2 mention the doughnut spelling. Dunkin' Donuts, which was so named in 1950, following its 1948 founding under the name Open Kettle, is the oldest surviving company to use the doughnut variation. Other chains, such as the defunct Mayflower Doughnut Corporation, did not use that spelling. According to the Oxford Dictionary, while doughnut is used internationally, the spelling doughnut is American. The spelling doughnut remained rare until the 1950s, and has since grown significantly in popularity. This growth in use has possibly been influenced by the spread of Dunkin' Donuts. Regional variations. Africa, South Africa. In South Africa, an Afrikaans variation known as the Kerk sister is popular. Another variation, similar in name, is the Cape Malay coexistor, being soaked in a spiced syrup and coated in coconut. It has a texture similar to more traditional doughnuts as opposed to the Afrikaans variety. A further variation is the vetkoek, which is also dough deep-fried in oil. It is served with mince, syrup, honey or jam. Tunisia. In Tunisia, a pastry similar to doughnuts are yo-yos. They are very traditional and popular. They come in different versions, both as balls and in shape of doughnuts. They are deep-fried and covered in a honey syrup or a kind of frosting. Sesame seeds are also used for flavor and decoration along with orange juice and vanilla. Morocco. In Morocco, sfenj is a similar pastry eaten sprinkled with sugar or soaked in honey. Asia. China, a few sweet, doughnut-style pastries are regional in nature. Cantonese cuisine features an oval-shaped pastry called nga laizu, a spherical food called sawanyung, which is also similar to cream puff, but denser in texture with sugar sprinkled on top, is normally available in Cantonese restaurants in the dim sum style. An oilier Beijing variant of this called Iasha plus or minus E squared unregistered trademark, Jali Daosha, is filled with red bean paste. Originally, it was made with egg white instead of dough. Many Chinese cultures make a chewy doughnut known as shwing baotai, which consists of two conjoined balls of dough. Chinese restaurants in the U.S. sometimes serve small fried pastries similar to doughnut holes, served with condensed milk as a sauce. Chinese cuisine features long, deep-fried doughnut sticks that are often quite oily, hence their name in Mandarin, ya cubed ushao. In Cantonese, this doughnut-style pastry is called ya jaguai. These pastries are not sweet and are often served with congee, a traditional rice porridge. India. In India, a savory, fried, ring-shaped snack called a vada is often referred to as the Indian doughnut. The vada is made from dal, lentil or potato flours rather than wheat flour. In North India, it is in the form of a bulging disc called dahi vada, and is soaked in curd, sprinkled with spices and sliced vegetables, and topped with a sweet and sour chutney. In South India, a vada is eaten with sambar and a coconut chutney. Sweet pastries similar to old-fashioned doughnuts called badashahi and jalbi are also popular. Balashahi, also called badouche, is made from flour, deep-fried in clarified butter, and dipped in sugar syrup. Balashahi is ring-shaped, but the hole in the center does not go all the way through. Jalbi, which is typically pretzel-shaped, is made by deep-frying batter in oil and soaking it in sugar syrup. A variant of jalbi, called imrati, is shaped with a small ring in the center around which a geometric pattern is arranged. Along with these Indian variants, American variants of doughnuts are also available, with American brands such as Krispy Kreme and Dunkin' Donuts setting up retail outlets in India, as well as local brands such as Madover Donuts and the Doughnut Baker. Indonesia. The Indonesian ʻdoʊnət kentang is a potato doughnut, a ring-shaped fritter made from flour and mashed potatoes, coated in powdered sugar or icing sugar. Iran. The Persian zulbia and bamia are fritters of various shapes and sizes coated in a sugar syrup. Doughnuts are also made in the home in Iran, referred to as doughnuts, even in the singular. Israel. Jelly doughnuts, known as sufganiyah in Israel, have become a traditional Hanukkah food in the recent era, as they are cooked in oil, associated with the holiday account of the miracle of the oil. Traditional sufganiyot are filled with red jelly and topped with icing sugar. However, many other varieties exist, with some being filled with dulce de leche. Japan. In Japan, ʻdoʊnət is widely available at bakeries. ʻdoʊnət is similar to Germany's Berliner, except it contains red azuki bean paste. Mr. Doughnut is one of the most popular doughnut chains in Japan. Native to Okinawa is a spheroid pastry similar to doughnuts called sata and agi. Malaysia. Kuih kria is a whole doughnut made from boiled sweet potato that is mashed. The sweet potato mash is shaped into rings and fried. The hot doughnut is then rolled in granulated sugar. The result is a doughnut with a sugar-crusted skin. Nepal. Sel roti is a Nepali homemade, ring-shaped, rice doughnut prepared during Tihar, the widely celebrated Hindu festival in Nepal. A semi-liquid dough is usually prepared by adding milk, water, sugar, butter, cardamom, and mashed banana to rice flour, which is often left to ferment for up to 24 hours. A sel roti is traditionally fried in ghee. Pakistan. Doughnuts are available at most bakeries across Pakistan. The Nawaz Sharif variety, available mainly in the city of Karachi, is covered in chocolate and filled with cream, similar to a Boston cream. Doughnuts can readily be found at the many Dunkin' Donuts branches spread across Pakistan. Philippines. Local varieties of doughnuts sold by peddlers and street vendors throughout the Philippines are usually made of plain well-made dough, deep-fried in refined coconut oil and sprinkled with refined sugar. Doughnuts are a popular midday snack. Taiwan. In Taiwan, Schwarengba is 2 pieces of dough wrapped together before frying. Vietnam. Vietnamese varieties of doughnuts include ɓdoʊnʌt, ɓdoʊnʌt cam, and ɓdoʊnʌt rau. Ɓdoʊnʌt is a sesame-topped, deep-fried pastry that is hollow. It can be eaten alone or cut in half and served with ɓdoʊnʌt squared, a gelatinous cake, placed inside the pastry. ɓdoʊnʌt cam is from southern Vietnam and is a ball-shaped, deep-fried pastry coated entirely in sesame seeds and inside of which contains a mung bean paste filling. ɓdoʊnʌt rau is from northern Vietnam and is similar to ɓdoʊnʌt cam. However, the difference is that ɓdoʊnʌt rau is covered with a sugar glaze after being deep-fried and its mung bean paste filling includes a jasmine essence. Europe, Austria. In Austria, doughnut equivalents are called krapfen. They are especially popular during carnival season, and do not have the typical ring shape, but instead are solid and usually filled with apricot jam or vanilla cream. A second variant, called bonkrapfen, probably more similar to doughnuts, are made of yeast dough, and have a thick outside ring, but are very thin in the middle. Belgium. In Belgium, the smetbollen in Dutch, or croustillards in French, are similar to the Dutch kind of oliebollen, but they usually do not contain any fruit, except for apple chunks sometimes. They are typical carnival and fair snacks and are coated with powdered sugar. Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia and Serbia, doughnuts similar to the Berliner are prepared in the northern Balkans, particularly in Croatia, Serbia and Bosnia and Herzegovina. They are also called krofna, krafna or krafn, a name derived from the Austrian krapfen for this pastry. In Croatia, they are especially popular during carnival season and do not have the typical ring shape, but instead are solid. Traditionally, they are filled with jam. However, they can be filled with vanilla or chocolate cream. Czech Republic. There are Czech Republic American-style doughnuts, but before they were solid shape and filled with jelly. The shape is similar to doughnuts in Germany or Poland. They are called kobliha. They may be filled with nougat or with vanilla custard. There are now many fillings. Cut in half or non-filled nuts with sugar and cinnamon on top. Denmark. In Denmark, doughnuts exist in their American shape, and these can be obtained from various stores, for example McDonald's and most gas stations. The Berliner, however, is also available in bakeries. Finland. In Finland, a sweet doughnut is called a monkey and are commonly eaten in café copyrights and cafeteria restaurants. They are sold cold and are sometimes filled with jam or a vanilla sauce. A ring doughnut is also known as ʻdoʊnʌt. A savory form of doughnut is the meat doughnut. Being made of doughnut mixture and deep-fried, the end product is more akin to a savory doughnut than any pie known in the English-speaking world. France. See baguette. Germany. In parts of Germany, the doughnut equivalents are called Berliner, but not in the capital city of Berlin itself and neighboring areas, where they are called Pfannkuchen. In Middle Germany, they are called Krippel or Pfannkuchen. In southern Germany, they are also called Krapfen and are especially popular during carnival season in southern and middle Germany and on New Year's Eve in northern Germany. Berliner do not have the typical ring shape, but instead are solid and usually filled with jam, while a ring-shaped variant called Kameruna is common in Berlin and eastern Germany. Bismarcks and Berlin doughnuts are also found in Australia, Canada, Denmark, Finland, Switzerland and the US today. American-style doughnuts are also available in Germany, but are less popular than their native counterparts. Greece. In Greece, there is a doughnut-like snack, called loukoumas, which is a doughnut with sugar and comes in 2 types. The first one is crispier, whereas the second one is larger and softer. Hungary. ʻdoʊnʌt is a sweet traditional Hungarian cake. The most commonly used ingredients are flour, yeast, butter, egg yolk, a little bit of rum, a sniff of salt, milk and oil to deep fry with. After the pastry has risen for approximately 30 minutes, the result is an extreme light doughnut-like pastry. ʻdoʊnʌt is mostly served with powdered sugar and liquor. It is supposed that ʻdoʊnʌt pastry is of the same origin as German Berliner, Dutch Oliebollen, and Polish Parzy. Iceland. In Iceland kleinuringar are a type of old Icelandic cuisine which resembles doughnuts. The Berliner and many other kinds of doughnuts can only be found on one day of the year, and that is on a holiday called Bolledaga, or in other words Doughnut Day. Italy. Italian doughnuts include Ciambole, Krapfen, Zipuli and Spole from Calabria, Maritozzi and Bomboloni from Tuscany. Lithuania. In Lithuania, a kind of doughnut called spurgos is widely known. Some spurgos are similar to Polish parzki, but some specific recipes, such as cottage cheese doughnuts, were invented independently. Netherlands. In the Netherlands, oliebollen, referred to in cookbooks as Dutch doughnuts, are a type of fritter, with or without raisins or currants, and usually sprinkled with powdered sugar. Variations of the recipe contain slices of apple or other fruits. They are traditionally eaten as part of New Year celebrations. Norway. In Norway, the traditional smoldering is the prevailing type of doughnut traditionally sold in bakeries, shops, and stalls. However, the American-style doughnuts are widely available in larger supermarkets, McDonald's restaurants, 7-Elevens and bakeries. The Berliner is more common than the U.S. doughnut, and sold in most supermarkets and bakeries alongside smoldering doughnuts. Poland. In Poland and parts of the U.S. with a large Polish community, like Chicago and Detroit, the round, jam-filled doughnuts eaten especially though not exclusively during the carnival are called parzki. Parzki have been known in Poland at least since the Middle Ages. Jar registered trademark ʻdoʊnət has described that during the reign of the August III under influence of French cooks who came to Poland at that time, parzki dough fried in Poland has been improved, so that parzki became lighter, spongier, and more resilient. Portugal, seamlessada. Romania, the Romanian dessert go-go unregistered trademark are fried dough balls similar to filled doughnuts. They are stuffed with chocolate, jam, cheese and other combinations and may be dusted with icing sugar. Russia. In Russia and the CIS countries, ponchiki or pshki are a very popular sweet doughnut, with many fast and simple recipes available in Russian cookbooks for making them at home as a breakfast or coffee pastry. In Ukraine and Belarus they are called pampushki. Slovenia. In Slovenia, a jam-filled doughnut known as krofi, is very popular. It is the typical sweet during carnival time, but is to be found in most bakeries during the whole year. The most famous krofi come from the village of Trajan in central Slovenia, and are originally filled with apricot jam filling. Spain. In Spain, there are two different types of doughnuts. The first one, simply called doughnuts, or Berliners, refer to the American-style doughnut, that is, a deep-fried, sweet, soft, ring of flour dough. The second type of doughnut is a traditional pastry called rosquilla, made of fermented dough and which is fried or baked in an oven. They were purportedly introduced in Spain by the Romans. In Spain, there are several variants of them depending on the region where they are prepared and on the time of the year they are sold, as they are regarded in some parts as a pastry especially prepared only for Easter. Although overall they result in pastries of a tighter texture and less sugar than American doughnuts, they differ greatly in shape, size and taste from one region to another. The currow is a sweet pastry of deep-fried dough similar to a doughnut but shaped as a long, thin, ribbed cylinder rather than a ring or sphere. Currows are commonly served dusted in sugar as a snack or with a cup of hot chocolate. Switzerland. In Switzerland, there are Ziegerkrapfen and Berliner. United Kingdom. In some parts of Scotland, ring doughnuts are referred to as dough rings, with the doughnut name being reserved exclusively for the nut-shaped variety. Glazed, twisted rope-shaped doughnuts are known as yum-yums. It is also possible to buy fudge doughnuts in certain regions of Scotland. Also known as doughnuts, referring to the zero shape or nought, being supplied in bakeries and supermarkets. Fillings include jam, custard, cream, sweet mincemeat, chocolate and apple. Common ring toppings are sprinkle iced and chocolate. In Northern Ireland, ring doughnuts are known as gravy rings, gravy being an archaic term for hot cooking oil. North America, Caribbean region, a doughnut known as kurma originating in eastern India but being sold as a delicacy in Trinidad and Tobago, is a small, sweet, and fried cubed or rectangular-shaped doughnut. Jamaica, in Jamaica, a local doughnut known as festival is made of flour, cornmeal, sugar, and sometimes vanilla essence. They can range from slightly sweet to very sweet. Mexico, the Mexican doñas are similar to doughnuts, including the name. The doña is a fried dough pastry-based snack, commonly covered with powdered brown sugar and cinnamon, white sugar or chocolate. United States and Canada. Frosted, glazed, powdered, Boston cream, coconut, sour cream, cinnamon, chocolate, and jelly are some of the varieties eaten in the United States and Canada. Sweetening, filling, and fancy toppings are now so common that plain doughnuts are now commonly labeled and sold as old-fashioned. There are also potato doughnuts. Doughnuts are ubiquitous in the United States and can be found in most grocery stores, as well as in specialty doughnut shops. A popular doughnut in Hawaii is the mlazeada. Mlazeadas were brought to the Hawaiian Islands by early Portuguese settlers, and are a variation on Portugal's fila cubed s. They are small eggy balls of yeast dough deep-fried and coated in sugar. Immigrants have brought various doughnut varieties to the United States. To celebrate Fat Tuesday in eastern Pennsylvania, churches sell a potato starch doughnut called a fastnacht. The treats are so popular there that Fat Tuesday is often called Fastnacht Day. The polished doughnut, the PARCZKI, is popular in U.S. cities with large Polish communities such as Chicago, Milwaukee, and Detroit. In regions of the country where apples are widely grown, especially the Northeast and Midwest states, cider doughnuts are a harvest season specialty, especially at orchards open to tourists, where they can be served fresh. Cider doughnuts are a cake doughnut with apple cider in the batter. The use of cider affects both the texture and flavor, resulting in a denser, moister product. They are often coated with either granulated or powdered sugar or cinnamon sugar. In southern Louisiana, a popular variety of the doughnut is the Doughnut, a fried, square doughnut served traditionally with powdered sugar. Perhaps the most famous purveyor of Doughnats is New Orleans restaurant Café du Monde. In Quebec, homemade doughnuts called bains de Noël are traditional Christmas desserts. Oceania, Australia. In Australia, the doughnut is a popular snack food. Hot jam doughnuts, known simply as a jam doughnut in Australia, are particularly popular and a unique aspect of Australian culture, especially in Melbourne, Victoria and the Queen Victoria Market, where they are a tradition. Jam doughnuts are similar to a Berliner, but are served hot with red jam injected into a bun that is deep-fried and then frosted in either sugar or cinnamon. Jam doughnuts are sometimes also bought frozen. In South Australia, they are known as Berliner or Kitchener and often served in cafes. A variant is the custard-filled doughnut. Mobile vans that serve doughnuts, traditional or jam, are often seen at spectator events, carnivals and fetes and by the roadside near high-traffic areas like airports and the car parks of large shopping centres. Traditional cinnamon doughnuts are readily available in Australia from specialised retailers and convenience stores. Doughnuts are a popular choice for schools and other not-for-profit groups to cook and sell as a fundraiser. New Zealand. In New Zealand, the doughnut is a popular food snack available in corner dairies. They are in the form of a long sweet bread roll with a deep cut down its long axis. In this cut is placed a long dollop of sweetened clotted cream and on top of this is a spot of strawberry jam. Doughnuts are of two varieties, fresh cream or mock cream. The rounded variety is widely available as well. South America, Brazil. In Brazil, grocery stores and pastry shops sell ball-shaped doughnuts popularly known as sonhus. The dessert was brought to Brazil by Portuguese colonizers that had contact with Dutch and German traders. They are the equivalent of nowadays bolas de Berlim in Portugal, but the traditional Portuguese yellow cream was substituted by local dairy and fruit products. They are made of a special type of bread filled with goiabada, or milk cream, and covered by white sugar. Chile. Berlin doughnut is popular in Chile because of the large German community. It may be filled with jam or with manjar, the Chilean version of dulce de leche. Peru, Peruvian cuisine includes picarones, which are donut-shaped fritters made with a squash and sweet potato base. These snacks are almost always served with a drizzle of sweet molasses-based sauce. In popular culture, the doughnut has made an appearance in popular culture, particularly in the United States and Australia. References extend to objects or actions that are doughnut-shaped. Australia, Doughnut King is Australia's largest retailer of doughnuts. A Guinness Book of Records largest doughnut made up of 90,000 individual doughnuts was set in Sydney in 2007 as part of a celebration for the release of The Simpsons movie. Canada, per capita, Canadians consume the most doughnuts, and Canada has the most doughnut stores per capita. Tim Hortons is a popular Canadian doughnut and coffee franchise and one of the most successful food retailers in the country. In the Second City television sketch comedy The Great White North featuring the fictional brothers Bob and Doug McKenzie and in their film Strange Brew, doughnuts play a role in the duo's comedy. United States. Within the United States, the Providence metropolitan area was cited as having the most doughnut shops per capita as of January 13, 2010. National Doughnut Day celebrates the doughnut's history and role in popular culture. There is a race in Staunton, Illinois featuring doughnuts called Tour de Doughnut. In film, the doughnut has inspired Dora's Dunkin' Donuts, The Donuts and Tour de Doughnut, Gluttons for Punishment. In video games, the doughnut has appeared in games like The Simpsons Game and Doughnut Dilemma. In the cartoon Mucha Lucha, there are 4 things that make up the code of mask wrestling: honor, family, tradition, and doughnuts. Also, in the popular television sitcom The Simpsons, Homer Simpson's love affair with doughnuts makes a prominent ongoing joke as well as the focal point of more than a few episodes. There is also a children's book Arnie the Doughnut and music albums The Doughnut in Granny's Greenhouse and Desert Doughnuts. In several media, doughnuts are frequently presented as enjoyed by police officers during coffee break. This cliché copyright has been parodied in the film Police Academy 4. Citizens on Patrol, where Officer Zed is instructing new recruits how to properly consume their doughnut with coffee. It is also parodied in the Twin Peaks series, where the police station is always in large supply. In the video game Neuromancer there is a Doughnut World shop, where only policemen are allowed. During a citywide lockdown after the Boston Marathon bombings, a handful of selected Dunkin' Donuts locations were ordered to remain open to serve police and first responders despite the closing of the vast majority of city businesses. See also. References. Further reading: Jones, Charlotte Fowles. Mistakes That Worked. Doubleday. ISBN A0-385-26246-9AA Origins of the Doughnut Hole, Rosanna G. Moreira al., Deep Fat Frying, Fundamentals and Applications. ISBN 0-8342-1321-4, Edge, John T. Doughnuts, An American Passion. Putnam. ISBN A0-399-15358-6A.